Hello and welcome to This Contains Garlic. You're here with your host Georgia Garlic, and
Mark Garlic.
we're here on a Sunday bringing the news to you about why you need structure in your exercise and diet today. We haven't done a podcast for a little bit of time. Why is that, Mark? We've had a lot going on, some good, some
Yeah,
bad.
I like the term that you've coined recently, pivoting with purpose.
Yeah, so we've got a lot going on, obviously, we're launching a coaching academy in September, which is going to be the new home of all of our online business, which is really, really exciting. Yeah, that's quite a big change that's coming up. It's something we've wanted to, I guess, develop, and especially for our clients currently, I think it's really important that people feel like they're part of something, and they feel like they've got people around them that support them or are in the same sort of like-minded situation. So we've got a book launching, in fact two. We've got quite a lot coming out, lots
We've
and
also
lots of
got our
really good.
face-to-face workshop that we're going to be holding for the
Yeah,
very
that's
first time,
exciting.
which
So
is going
hopefully
to
we'll be able to
be,
actually meet people in person.
yeah,
Both myself and Mark really, really enjoy that element of actually like knowing who we're working with, which kind of defeats the purpose sometimes with online. But I
yeah.
think online just means that we can help more people in a certain amount of radius. So yeah, we've got lots and lots of change going on. We've also had shitty personal news, but not for us. Somebody very close to us was diagnosed with breast cancer. So I wasn't going to talk about it because I thought nobody wants to like listen to negativity, or not negativity, I guess, shit things like cancer. But I think I've also got, and one of my clients said to me, who I'm quite close with, she said, you've got the responsibility. We've got a lot of women that obviously listen to our podcast. Majority of our business is women. So I guess it's a message to all the women that listen to this. Just obviously make sure. Oh God, I don't know why I'm going to cry. God, you can take over.
Yeah, I think what George is trying to get at is just making sure that get everything's checked up, go and
Yeah, make
have
sure
a
you're.
regular touch base with your local GP just to double check because
Yeah, you just never know.
understanding and knowing is better than not knowing. So
And I think there's
it's
a lot of people, like I guess, that we obviously help navigate, like trying to become more in tune with their bodies. And I know that sounds like a little bit bizarre, but I guess when you go through any kind of journey, but especially when you work with us, like you're going to be going through quite a lot of change. And it's all about us, making clients aware of their self-care and their body and how they think and how they feel. And I think that only helps in understanding when something doesn't feel right, or and just to make sure that you follow up with that when it doesn't feel right. But there are a lot of people out there that I'm sure are listening to who you probably don't necessarily feel that switched on with your body. So it's always good to have a forewarning, and to then obviously get the available help
yeah, or
required.
just go and off your own steam. Just go and have some
Yeah, like
independent.
a yearly medical or
Yeah,
something is always. I mean, they're expensive. Don't get me wrong. Like
but
it's not.
there are certain at home services where again you will have to prick your own finger, which historically when I did that with George it ended up like a bloodbath.
Jesus Christ.
Um, but I think the average individual should generally doesn't have an issue, and again for both men and women, you can get relative extensive tests done now that can get delivered to your door, and you can have a phlebotomist come round and draw blood for you and so on and so forth. So again, it's just one of those things where you've just got to, you know,
Take responsibility for your
yeah,
health. Like we always say, like I think, even in like the shitty situations, no matter how healthy you are, and like I think it's also one of these things, like no matter how healthy you think you are, or like, the lifestyle that you live might be really healthy. You might not drink, you might not smoke, you might exercise frequently, you might, tick all the right boxes, but that doesn't unfortunately,
yeah,
especially
exclude
with,
you.
the way that I guess, genetics and also, you know, your family and all your history with it. You know, this is all these things that come into play. So, you know, you don't, just because you live the healthiest of lifestyles doesn't mean that you are then, you know, able to not, I guess, care about these elements. But I guess that was just a little bit depressing start of a podcast. But
Oh, British people love,
pessimism,
misery.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's why it's on the TV all the time. It's just like misery porn for everybody.
Yeah, I know, Jesus Christ, like literally. But I think today what we wanted to talk about mainly was seeking structure in your health and fitness. And I think health and fitness is a very generic statement, but I think it's something that people can understand quite a lot, you know. A lot of people relate that to what they eat or how they move, or how they feel and think. And I think a lot of the time when we speak to people that might come on board with us, or you know, a lot of the time they have no structure, and the biggest thing that's causing them to feel so erratic or to not find that routine is they just don't have any idea what to do, what to have, when to have it, how much to have, what, you know, how often should I do, you know. And so it kind of puts you off because you think, oh, I don't know what to do, I feel quite uncomfortable in that situation, I'm not going to do it. I was actually talking to my sister about this yesterday because her boyfriend, her partner is training for the New York Marathon, and he's got really good genetic potential, but like loves CrossFit, but like can't do CrossFit for longer than 2 weeks because gets injured, because obviously it's highly fatiguing, and for a lot of people with I guess
I mean,
issues.
historically,
Yeah, but
having spoken to him at one of the family engagements, he's obviously suffering from thoracic outlet syndrome, which is when you have an over eccentrically orientated, so a very short pectoral muscle.
okay, Mark, speak logically. What's
So
a
chest
pectoral
muscle bad makes arm feel painful, and it radiates down your arm into as far down as into the thumb or into the index finger. So
This can
again,
come, that can occur
historically
from a few
meaning,
things though, can't it?
historically meaning chest mobility, lack of scapular strength and
What's the
mobility,
scapula?
shoulder blade.
Yeah.
You know, so then it, like I was saying to him, it's going to require a lot more targeted approach than, again, traditional strength and conditioning. You can see it like a scalpel when you're using it in surgery, and other modalities that are more generic in one word, and a little bit like especially CrossFit with a lot of overhead mobility, so on and so forth. When you can't scale that for somebody who's essentially sedentary, you know, I was like, it needs to be more
Yeah, okay, well, in
targeted,
long
more
story
focused.
short, he, like, without Mark going on a tangent on what he needed to do, he just he goes into the gym. He clearly likes the idea of lifting weights and strength training and being in that environment, and hence why he's gone to something like CrossFit. But like can't keep up with him, and I think this is what's happening a lot with the general population at the moment. And we have spoken to far too many people this year, particularly on two forms of modality which are becoming very sensationally popular. Not that some of them haven't been popular before, but like they obviously have the influence behind it now. So it's a lot more popular. You're going to see it more often. And if you're more interested in health and fitness, you're going to see it a lot. And so running and high rocks. So obviously these forms of modalities we've seen a lot with women, mainly because women influencers have become more running and more high rocks, and I guess the physiques you see these women's, you know, stand in that you see on social media, you might want to achieve, but it's literally fucking every single person's joints, mobility. People have been wiped out from being able to exercise for like months because of the training modality. So however much you love it, which I always encourage, do something you love, but you've got to do the other stuff too if you don't want to be injured in the long term. So if you want to be a really good runner and you want to be able to run comfortably for once or twice a week, you know, you should then be doing strength training a minimum of twice a week to encourage some level of, I guess, muscle, but also, you know, so you move your body and strengthen those areas that need to be strengthened. The same with high rocks training, which is obviously a lot of cardio based or weight based, you know, resistance based, I don't know, like sled pulls, wall slams, all of this. If you want to have good functioning knees, overhead mobility, you know, that's only going to come from you obviously strengthening that outside of these sessions. So I do feel like people do that all or nothing approach where it's like, I love this, which is great, absolutely great. But you need to understand that your day-to-day life is not a high rocks athlete on Instagram. Do you know what I mean? In any way, shape, or form. You know, you're sat at a desk working.
The programming for high rocks, for example, is lacking. You know, biomechanically.
So anti it, but
I'm not anti it. Again, I'm
like
I'm going to come
it,
from a very neutral standpoint where I'm just looking at it from a coaching perspective. I'm looking at it from a biomechanical perspective, and I'm looking at it from what joint functions are being presented to the individuals to utilize and what muscle groups are being utilized. The predominance of the programming is very anterior based, hence the reason why we are seeing a very large uptick in people getting knee injuries, ankle injuries, and shoulder injuries due to the repetitive programming and the lack of symmetry in the programming from the modality. And like Georgia said, if you want to counteract that, then you have to do the meat and potatoes of getting stronger physically and anatomically. That's I butchered that. Instead of, because people go in and there's two ways of getting better at high rocks. Is you get better at high rocks because you understand the movement patterns and you get better at the function, but you don't necessarily get fitter or stronger. You just get better at the particular modality, or you get stronger and more muscular endurance outside of the potential, the actual function of the stimulus, like strength training, because then when you go into, you know, your sled pulls, your runs, you're going to be utilizing the muscle groups that are neglected by the modality itself, which is your posterior chain movement. There's no hinging, there's no hamstrings, there's no pulling. You know, these are the muscle groups that you need to propel yourself and to generate force.
But let me assure you that the people you see that are high rocks athletes that are doing this, and you see that slightly balanced physique where you're like, okay, like they look like they're in great shape. They're doing it outside of what you see. Like when.
But the thing is, like, it just takes two and two together. So we watched the gentleman that set the world record for high rocks, right? We watched him run around the course and dominate, and on his YouTube channel, and then his training was nothing to do with actual high rocks. He was in there essentially almost doing bodybuilding splits.
Yeah.
And just had absolutely a phenomenal gas tank.
Yeah, so like it's not to say that you can't. You know, like, the whole aim is to like in my whole aim in life is just to get better. Like I think that, you know, it's exactly the same as I always say when people want to do a pull up. You know, like so many people are like, oh my god, I can't pull myself up on a bar. Like I was like that. Fuck, like nobody starts being able to do 10 pull ups in a row. Like Christ, like, you know, and being like, oh, this is so depressing. I can't do a pull up. When actually I was like, do you know what? I'm not even gonna fucking do a pull up. I'm not even going to do one. I'm not going to do one until I've got strong enough, do you know what I mean, on my back muscles and my combining muscles, my biceps, my triceps. You know, before I even try and attempt, because I'm going to get annoyed, I still can't do it. And so many people are like, oh, I'm going to try and pull myself up. I can't do it. I'm so sad. Take that sadness and dial it into being stronger somewhere, you know. But it all comes down to the structure and also the execution. Like, I'm really, like I said to Mark today, like it's kind of worrying, and I want to take I'm not going to take personal responsibility for this, but as an industry, I don't like to say the word leader, that sounds way too professional, like an industry, what do you think I am? Professional, there we go. There we go, I'm a fucking professional.
An OG.
I'm an OG. Yeah. Oh no, that sounds like really old, and I'm not even old. Do you know what I mean? That sounds
but you have been at it.
Yeah, I have been around the block, to be quite honest with you. Like, I feel like if you're going to run a gym these days or a studio or anything to do with exercise, you have, and also just have to understand one thing. Majority of people coming to your classes that you're training are complete and utter beginners, okay? These people are sat doing a normal fucking job, okay? Not in a gym, not people that exercise frequently, not that they've got time to do mobility, none of that. They're just fucking your normal people, okay?
Yeah, sat at a desk
Sat
8 hours
at a
a day.
desk, 8 hours, maybe sat in the car, maybe sat here, maybe picking up kids.
Yeah.
Who fucking knows, okay? But they're normal. Okay, so you have a responsibility if you are a professional in an environment like a gym that you should actually be helping people because, oh my God, the way that people train in gyms is the reason why physios still have a job. Okay, sorry. It's the fact that I've got a job because, people can't eat like an unaccompanied toddler, do you know what I mean? When, they've got the chance to. That's the reason why I'm a nutritionist. The same with people need motivation to train. That's why I've got a job. But I'm just saying, physios are in work right now because of how people execute movements or modalities of exercise. And unfortunately, as much as that comes down to the human needing to switch the fuck on, it also comes down to the people around them. I literally see PTs, people are paying PTs to stand on their fucking phone. They are so disinterested. The PT doesn't even look at the person, they look through the person. You know, those kind of things of people just looking like past you, like they've got something else better to do. And or they're sat in the office, do you know what I mean, trying to get some leads for the gym. It's very lazy, and also it doesn't give a very good image. You go in, the members look like it's like a zoo. Like, it's the only way to describe it. Like, what's going on here? If you're literally standing next to somebody training with the worst one, I'm not going to do that because I'm not a professional paid to be in that space. And it would look also, I bloody hate people that come up to people in gyms. I really do. Unless you've got something positive to say, fuck off.
Yeah.
I just think it's very invasive.
It doesn't stop a lot of men.
No, God, Jesus Christ. But, it's one of these men. Yeah, men. Oh, God.
Yeah, you'll never have a woman come up to you and say, I think you're doing that wrong.
Yeah, I wish. Well, I will. I'm going to start doing it to men in the gym. They already know probably by the look on my face. But the reality is, I just feel people should have some responsibility when you're looking over the way that people move, that they're moving okay, and you should also know how to move okay. So maybe you should have some experience. Maybe there should be, again, coming back to the whole qualification process in this industry. You don't know how to do your job until you have a lot of experience. That's the only thing we put down, apart from the fact we've done loads of qualifications. You can do all the fucking work, you know what I mean, the academics of it. But if you don't have the experience of actually working with your clientele, like your ideal clientele, you've got no fucking clue. And that's the problem with all the online coaches these days. It's like, oh, I like what I look like. Do you know what I mean?
I think, do you know what the reality of it is because of the rise in social media, I feel it has strayed, and having gone from being face-to-face coaches, personal trainers, to now moving into the online space, you move so far away. We don't, but I think the vast majority of online coaches, again, having spoken to and consulted with people recently that have been burnt by personal online coaches, for money and haven't had programs delivered X, Y, and Z. The reality is you move so far away from coaching people and trying to implement principles and life-changing habits to marketing and sales.
Yeah.
And then it moves away from, okay, we need to constantly post the right kind of content I need to post more viral content. I need to, be able to have lead magnets that push people into a sales funnel that, and constantly have this announcement culture where you have new things launching. And it's so marketing and sales that, like, all the people that are people see as like the industry leaders, right? Those people are not coaching people on a day-to-day basis. Do you know what I mean?
Very good at selling
they're marketing and selling their business and doing a fantastic job of it and being able to scale it. Some people do 6-7 figures, which is fantastic, but those people are not helping the people that are signing up on a day-to-day basis. It's sales and marketing, and we've moved. You see it with the things that then become very, very popular within the industry. It's not necessarily based off, okay, how many people can we help logically that are actually going to, you know, help them in a long term versus what can we put together that is going to be very good to market, and how we're going to market with influencers to the
That's
general
exactly why
population
you have
to.
challenges. Now, I'm
And
not
don't get me
saying
wrong,
these
like
have positive
they
change in a
are
lot of
do,
people's
yeah, and
lives.
like don't I'm not like hating on anything that is apart from what like we preach. But and the reality is it does obviously help a lot of people, community based, make friends, get them out of the house and so on and so forth, which is obviously very, very, very good. But there are obviously a very large percentage of those individuals that it doesn't serve for. So what we're saying is continue to do what you're doing, just do it slightly better so that it actually has a little bit more function.
I just personally think most people are going to do anything if like because we're really lazy. Like just let's all summarize ourselves as really lazy right now. And I'm really sorry to upset you with that, but like whether how busy you are, like as a generalized statement, as a nation of people, we're really lazy. And so we're going to want to have like the quickest shortcut,
Mm.
you know what I mean, to feeling better in ourselves, even though we are the ones obliterating ourselves. Okay, so it works in that cycle. So obviously, like, you know, we all just want to see great physical change. All we want to see, what we want to do is we want to see it, and like
Mm.
that's where structure, you see it. No structure, no bueno.
Mm-hmm.
Like no structure in anything. So whether it's tracking food, why do you track food? Now this is a very good
Mm.
conversation to have. You know, tracking has been again coming back to what's happened the last few years with, you know, fitness coaches and all these people that are absolutely like have no experience whatsoever. Is, you know, the calorie deficit's been fucked. Do you know what I mean? Now people are in vast calorie deficits, you know, and restrictive diets. You know, the element of intuitive eating's been increased, where people shouldn't be intuitive, in my opinion, because we just shouldn't trust ourselves around food, like as
Mm.
humans.
Yeah.
Like you really need to work to get to that
And if
position
yes, and if you've historically had an issue with
with your
food,
weight. Yeah.
yeah, then relying on your intuition's not probably not the best idea.
Yeah, exactly. So you see all these rise where things are being obliterated. The reality is, you know, I get quite sad when like people just only ever think of like the next like 6 or like 12 weeks. Do you know what I mean? But the structure, like why do you track food, for example, is, you know, you have absolutely no idea what you're eating. You've got no
Mm.
idea how big that was, the portion. You've got no idea how much it weighed, like what was right for you. Was that within reason? You know, you've
Mm-hmm.
got no idea what makes up a meal. You've got, you know, all these
Mm.
things you can't visualize. You know, you're busy living a life of convenience. Do you know what I mean? So whether
Mm-hmm.
that's, oh well, I can't be asked to cook dinner, I'll just get a Deliveroo. Do you know what I mean? And you know, it's fine. It was healthy. You know, what's
Mm.
healthy? Like honestly, we could go on another tangent about that.
But you hit the nail on the head the other day when we were discussing it with regards to um, the nutritional density of the availability, so that people can, in this day and age, can, and quite rightly so, say, I haven't eaten that much
Oh
today
yes.
and have only eaten, let's say, 2 meals and some snacks. But the palatability and the calorie dense foods that are now currently available, especially the convenience based foods,
I think we should go into
then
that.
overshoot you to a point where, some people are consuming upwards of 3,000 calories, but only having one square meal a day and a few snacks.
Yeah, so okay, and this is why I have quite a worry with convenience foods now, because they're so fucking convenient that people are relying on them like literally.
Mm.
And honestly, I say that because I speak to so many people about obviously what they eat and where they, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, like this is, you know, again coming down to why the restaurants need responsibility. Anyway, another topic. But I think, you know, look at something like a protein bar, which is obviously highly processed protein. It is. It's just like
Gelatin, usually.
it's got like it is. It's like unless it's like a nice natural one, which probably doesn't taste that great. Let's not lie. You know, you're talking about like a grenade bar. Like that's great. You can have it as part of your diet, but it should. You know, look at that. That's like maybe 300 calories, 2 plus. and you look at that versus like, I don't know, like a huge bowl of like Greek yogurt with like berries or whatever, like the nutritional values and sizes are so vastly different. So somebody could be like, oh, I've only had like, you know, this, and I had a snack of that, and then they have lunch, and say for example you eat a lunch out, the macro composition of that meal, so the split between the protein, the carbs and the fats, is not going to be a good balance. It will be minimal protein because it's expensive for restaurants to give you, so that will always be half the amount that you should, you know,
Probably
have.
needing, you know.
Then you'll go probably maximum on like the carbohydrates, and then the fats obviously like what it's cooked in, but they'll scoop in, there'll be like a 3/4 of an avocado, do you know what I mean,
Yeah,
in
they'll
like a
cook it
salad. Oh, I've
in a
only eaten
stick
a
of butter.
salad, but it's got like bloody, like, it's chicken thighs that are cut up. Great, everyone loves chicken thighs, but like, they are more calorie dense. Then it's like avocado and this and the cheese and a dressing that's an olive oil, and before you know it, you've literally eaten what you think is like super healthy, and I'm not really eating that much. You've just eaten like a 900-calorie salad, and it's just come down to literally the dressing, and you don't know this unless you track the food. Yeah. So when you put together and make that dressing, you're like, Jesus Christ, olive oil is not giving. It's not forgiving on, like,
no, because and there are people that would, again, when we do have consultations, that rightfully say, like, I don't eat a lot, but I'm just consistently seeing my weight increase, and my scale weight is, and I've been the fattest I've ever been in my entire life, and it's really getting me down, but I don't necessarily eat that much. But then when you're like, okay, well, before we put some not constraints, but targets together, so on and so forth, go through, just you free tracking, without any constraints, and just seeing where you are with your intake. And then people are like, oh my word, had no idea this contains so much X, Y, and Z. And you just start to then realize that we are in a very obesogenic environment, where even if the calories are stated, like Georgia said, they're not accurate. You know what I mean?
So, yeah, unfortunately, like a lot of these restaurants or places on the go or nutrition, like if you actually work it out, like I have loads of clients send me this and go like, is this correct? And I'm like, no, like it's not correct. And, same with like when you go to a nice delicatessens and they might have like a pre-made salad, those, I don't know, potato salad or like, and you might have a slice of protein and you're like, oh, I'll get a side salad because salad. And like they'll have like maybe on the thing that it's maybe registering as like 200 calories, the side salad, and it's like completely the opposite. It's like double. So, it is a responsibility on the people providing this to consumers to like actually have the right information to it. I don't believe that people need to be obsessed about tracking food.
But like how difficult it would be to enforce that. You'd have to take literally every item on the menu and take it into like how they test the accuracy of how many calories is in a food group, is they put it in a furnace and they burn it and they see how much energy is produced from it, and they're able to then quantify how many actual calories is provided in this meal. And that's what they have done with quantifiable nutritional studies, home cooked meals versus takeaways, and the stated calorie amount on the takeaways versus when they've put it in the burn chamber, how much actual nutrient density is contained. And again, the lapse between they tell you on the menu to what's actually the calories evolved is 200% different. Why? Because they're probably not equating that they cook everything in a stick of butter, and they don't, probably when they make condiments and stuff, they freehand it. You know what I mean? Like, you go to a restaurant and it's like a Chipotle, and it says there 600 calories on the board, and then you look at my man and you're like, keep going, bro. Keep adding. Do you know what I mean? And then by the time you come down to the end, it's 1,200 calories.
Yeah, I know, but that also comes down to the fact that like we should never be given like the opportunity of our own serving size. We should be served the size and just eating.
Yeah, or they could serve you less.
But again, coming around to if you're tracking food, like, the reality is that with the data you can then make logical assumptions as to whether or not what you are consuming is the right amount, or what you are consuming is helping you or making you feel good on a day-to-day basis. But if I asked you the question, obviously rhetorical because you're not right here to answer it, but ask yourself the question, do you remember what you ate last Tuesday, between midday and 8 p.m? And if you do, well done. If you don't, again, just highlighting the real, we can't remember this ourselves.
No.
So having, the reason why you have a bank account where you track your finances, as miserable as it is, you're still looking over the numbers going, okay, well, we spent this and we, if we want to save for this or we need to budget for that, you've got to have the data. If not, you're like, oh, how much money have I got? Got no idea.
Yeah.
None. And so tracking is that thing where it is a lot of accountability, and it's also quite, oh God, I mean, that's got a lot of calories, shit. And then you're like, oh no, I can't necessarily have that. But
that's life though.
It is life. Sometimes you
can't just go to Harrods and just say I want to take everything because I feel.
Comes down to it. Why do you always get what you fucking want? Literally, why is that?
Think
normal?
about it though. Think about how life works. Everyone's so addicted on helping and saving the planet, but the reality is if you consume more than, let's say, your total daily energy expenditure, right? It's just excess, and that means more manufacturing, more production, more, raping of the rainforests, more, fucking plastic bottles in a dolphin's blowhole. Do you know what I mean? And that's what it is. It's just excess and gluttony and just.
That's the reason why we're ruining. Yeah, that's why the planet.
If everyone just literally imagine worldwide, if you could click your fingers, you just had literally everybody consuming just the right amount of food to have them at a healthy weight, and they couldn't eat more. We would then have so much less requirements on the environment, requirements on slaughtering animals to feed us, requirements on X, Y, and Z.
The NHS would literally just run off of A&E.
Oh, you know what I mean?
There would be no other issues
every year,
apart from A&E.
We spend £100 billion on obesity. Do you know what I mean? On the NHS,
yeah, but Ozempic's meant to be the answer for that.
Yeah, that's fine. People can do that.
Which again, I keep on being advertised it, which is absolutely ridiculous. But I think we should talk about Ozempic a little bit, just based off of where it is at now. I think it's got absolutely its place in clinical obesity, where people have, really do need that startup to making a change and keeping that change. And I think it would and has had some positive effect on some people. But honestly, if you're sat there with, I'm talking maybe 30 kilos of weight on you, you can fucking lose it yourself. Do you know what I mean? And I say that coming off losing double that, you can lose it yourself. It just comes down to you actually not being lazy. And there we have it. Because I absolutely, as I said, clinical obesity, you can't, you're limited in movement, so you can't move that much. You've got an addiction to food, perhaps, or you have to balance that equation. Yes, it will help you. It will help with those addictions where you don't carry on repeating that behaviour. But I've seen, only from myself, but helping a lot of other people, all that is fucking required is some level of discipline and not gluttony and not thinking you can always have what you want. And working hard towards something so you feel like you've achieved something. If you're in a position where you are, as I said, 30 kilos, I managed to lose 65 kilos of body weight with no medication. It's truly possible from somebody that was completely addicted to food, the lifestyle that it brought out, for it to actually happen. But again, I don't like this sense of reliance, and we go back to that convenience. It's because it's fucking convenient. It's okay, the only convenience it's not very is on your bank account.
But do you not think that sometimes a lot of the food comes from emotional eating, and people really using it as a comfort blanket to deal with stress, to deal with all the other.
But Ozempic, for example, is the actual drug itself is statistically meant to stop you having an appetite. That's what it's meant to do. It's meant to, where your chemical messages are normally firing, telling you to eat this and I need that and I'm hungry. You know what I mean? It nulls that. And so I can see if somebody has a very addictive personality or with food, you know what I mean? Where like, you know, that needs to be ended perhaps, and you know, they need to be able to live healthier. That this would be very, very transformational for them. But where did like the hard work go out the window here? Because I come again, like we can't, if we continue the way with ease that we do, as
Yeah,
like
but
we are literally like, you know, we are responsible as to a reason why we'll be extinct. Like because, or like when you see
I
those
think when you
prototypes, they say, oh, what you'll look like in 15 years if you continue like this, and it's awful.
no, I think for some people it's the only hope really. I think the environment that they're probably in and the mindset and the nature versus nurture that they've experienced
Like, you might
has
have a
led them
partner who's
down the
very
road.
overweight, and
So, and you can imagine just, someone going from like, I don't know, 180 kilos down to like a healthy 100, how that would, have a really positive impact on their internal blood markers, on their health, on their confidence, regardless if they exercised or not. So I can see that. I guess the environment's never going to change. Do you know what I mean? It's like
I
trying
think
to
it should be
raise
used
children
for.
with no social media. It's impossible to do. You've just got to have to be able to, adapt adapt or die. And I think we're not going to change the fact that the food's all made to be super palatable. It's made to be very convenient. X, Y, and Z, and that's never going to change. So then something else has to change, and maybe it is just literally drugging the population to the point where they have no appetite.
No, and perhaps, as I said, you know, when you put to look at the psychology behind this and how it actually, you know, it programs the people that are very overweight. And I remember what it was like. You can't control yourself around food. You can, and you restrict yourself around social situations with food sometimes, but because, well, I used to, because I didn't want to get the judgment. But now, because all the environment is kind of encouraging to it, nobody's going to look twice whether or not you have, you know, some hectic meal in front of you and then like excessive amounts of drinks or whatever. Like people will be like, oh, wait, do you know what I
But
mean?
then,
That's
if more
great.
people did Ozempic, then more people would eat less, I guess.
Yes, but then
Because
you
that's
see,
got to the point where there's the introduction of Ozempic in the Western world has literally impacted the bottom line of
food
groceries retailers.
food
So
consumption, yeah.
again, like going back to it, maybe this is for people that don't want to exercise and just want to manage their weight through this intervention, and
I
that's
don't know.
their
I think
personal choice.
also
Then
no. If you can't exercise, perhaps you are a very much heavier weight, and maybe you are have got implications to your joints, or you
sure.
know from being that
Mm-hmm.
overweight.
Mm-hmm.
You know, then obviously you are going to be limited on your energy expenditure. So
Correct.
naturally speaking, then obviously you would want something that would, you know, we encourage the combination of non-exercise, so your steps and all of that, the activity thermogenesis, and then we also encourage exercise to building muscle, you know, strength training, and then obviously we encourage, you know, energy intake to be managed as well. But if you can't do two of those modalities, so your steps or your exercise session or your gym session, you know, then obviously you are going to be in a worse off position with how much energy you can burn on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, you might then need something to manage it. But I still think it doesn't eradicate the position that people manage to get themselves in.
Mm,
You know, and I believe that the only way that you learn anything in life is by, you know, potentially
mm,
failing or making mistakes or being in a position you don't enjoy, and actually getting yourself from that ground, you know, from
mm,
zero to where you are today,
mm,
yourself. Like this, the level of satisfaction it brings you is
mm,
mega. Like nobody can ever take that away from you, you know. It's not something that's generalized, it's a personal journey, and I just
mm,
feel like you're going to have so much more respect for yourself and for how much to do it if you just
mm,
come to, and as I said, I'm not talking on clinically obese, you know, different, you know, it has worked for some people, and it will continue to do so. But I have my concerns with people who've got, you know, 10 kilos, 15 kilos, 20 kilos of weight to lose, and they're jumping on this drug. Like it might have like a negative effect in the long term, to your health and all the rest of it. And this is the thing that hasn't really yet, we don't really know, because there hasn't been enough use of the drug and enough research done really behind it. I mean, there has been a lot of research done behind it, but you can understand what I'm saying. There's not enough people with evidence, as to how this has impacted them in the long term. We don't know the long term implications. We are
getting there, because there have been a lot of
but
professionals.
What's long term?
People have been using it now for a couple of years, and if there is no resistance training, when people have quantified it using DEXA scans, people have been losing more lean muscle tissue than fat mass. So essentially, you're becoming more and more skinny fat and losing.
No, I'm not talking about. We're not talking about that. We've spoken about that before.
But then there have been people.
Long-term implications.
People have then essentially come off it, and for various different reasons, because there is a percentage of people that when they do take it have severe gastrointestinal dysfunctions with bloating and diarrhea, and it's a really, really, really quite a compounding impact on I think about 30% of the people that take it. And the people that have come off it say that when your hunger hormones auto-regulate, the hunger that is then presented to you is something that is unsatiable. There was a doctor that was on a podcast that I was listening to, basically going through the different testimonials of individuals that had tried it and then come off for various different reasons, either cost or, like I said, gastrointestinal problems, and just reporting that the hunger levels that they were experiencing were just something that were, unexplainable.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think, like any kind of drug or medication, unless it's something that you're on all the time, 24/7, you're going to have some implication if you come off of it. It may well, you might have all the positive effects now, but it might have had a long-term impact on your actual health, as you get older. And, the age range that are taking this do tend to be slightly older. So it's not somebody that, you're not seeing it being taken too much in a younger population of people just yet, but it would be sort of midlife age that are, I guess, they have financial availability, because it is expensive to be on these drugs. But these are the age ranges where you don't want to be losing muscle mass. That's the last thing you want to be losing. So help yourself, and maybe you can take this drug, and maybe you can also encourage training alongside it, and you'd get a great result that would help you long term. But I don't think, and I don't ever want to advise somebody that to not do the hard work if it can be done, and I know that sounds so like David Goggins, go out and run if you could, you've got no legs. It's not, you're actually quite capable as a human. Humans have been programmed and brought up to be fairly capable beings, and I feel like if you've managed to get yourself in that position of dislike of yourself and how you've managed to get there, then you can bring that back, and that feeling is going to come from doing the hard work. And I say that firsthand, honestly, because when you get to a position where you think, fuck, I've done that, you're like, Jesus Christ, I actually did do that all myself, And it's much more the same as, you could compare it the same to, not really, but when somebody buys something expensive for you, you're like, oh, thank you so much, that's amazing. When you've worked for it yourself and you go and buy it, it literally feels so much better. You're like, oh my God, I value this so much more, because I've literally worked my arse off to get this, and now I've spoilt myself with it. So yeah, I just think, but coming back to the actual structure of why you need to have it in your training is because that's what's quantifiable. If you want to see progress, you've got to give yourself the elements of being able to track that progress. And that really comes from structure. If you've got no structure in what you're doing in exercise, then how can you know if you're seeing progress? If you've got no structure in your diet, how do you know what you've eaten or whether it's helping
structure
you?
is the telltale sign of every successful person. If you look at, the most successful people in their various fields, when you kind of boil it down, it comes down to, the structure that they have on a day-to-day basis to achieve that great.
Like we struggle with sometimes getting structure because we're quite militant, having come from a background of, training or consulting people like back to back, do you know what I mean? Like in the sense of by hour, by hour, by hour, by hour, like our timings, like I can be quite unstructured when I need to do stuff that's like not run by that timing. And, trying to, the one thing that grates on me the whole time is I don't have the structure. It's really pissing me off because where I do have structure in my life and I tick everything off, I obviously feel like 10 out of 10 times great about it. But when I don't have that structure, I feel chaotic. And for somebody that is on the borderlines of ADHD. I will not classify myself fully as ADHD because I haven't been fully diagnosed with it, but I definitely have traits of somebody that is quite sporadic in the way that they do things, and they like to have a million things running at once. It's one of these things where then why would you make it a hell of a lot harder for yourself by then throwing in the jumble mix again, then, oh God, what am I doing here? Like we have so many women actually who it's that typical women brain, it's you literally like Mark can think about one thing at once and I've got like Mark's like Jesus your brain, I'm like right I've got to do that, okay, and then this and then that and then oh God fuck I need to clean the dishwasher and fuck it's like 65 things going on at once and Mark's like yeah I'm just literally thinking about like right here right now, and I'm just like fuck, it's annoying that women are like so like, oh my God, everything's got to be done. But, we help a lot of women try and find that structure with their exercise and their food intake and what they're going to eat, i.e. meal planning and stuff like that, so that all they just need to do is just do that. They just look at the list and they go, right, that's what needs to be done. And that is a lot of our job, is forming that lifestyle that somebody's actually going to enjoy and want to follow for the long term. Our job is not to be militant and say, right, for 12 weeks you're going to do this and blitz it all off and then bye-bye, do you know what I mean, whilst the Titanic sinks, It's just like we literally form the structure of your lifestyle. I say to people a lot, especially if you've got maybe quite a lot, maybe weight loss journeys, this happens a lot more commonly with, but, people who, like I was saying to a client the other day, like just with the structure of like her meal planning and stuff, I was just saying like, oh, you need to just give yourself like minimal variety, narrow it down into a funnel, make sure that like you literally just look at the list, you tick it off, you make sure that like you're hitting all the boxes and like the progress will happen. But all you've got to do is just not think about what needs to be done and just do it, because I think a lot of the time with women it's that like I can think about something. I've been thinking about this bedding set and this is ridiculous, okay?
Oh God.
Oh God, how long do you think I've been thinking about it?
Honestly, 6 months.
Yeah, okay.
And you talk about it maybe.
I want to talk about this because I feel like I need to make
I'd say 3 times a week, and then you're like, you go in for about 45 minutes of like, you're going to definitely, today is the day you're definitely going to buy them.
Okay, so it's coverless duvet sets. And I think that's so useful. They're really, really nice. It means that you just put the actual whole cover in. We don't really like really thick bedding because it makes sweaty.com. So, like, anyway, been thinking about the covers, and anyway, I haven't done anything for 6 months. I've literally looked at it probably once a week for 6 months, and for some reason just have not, because I keep on justifying. Oh, do you think we're going to need this? Got so many other bedding. Do you know what I mean? Do we need? Is it just something that's a bit fucking ridiculous? Is this something that we're going to like? And that's what people are like with their food. Oh, what should I eat next week? Oh, I don't really like that. Oh, do I have to eat that again? Oh, God's sake. Oh no, I don't have enough food. Like, oh, I'm going to have to go out again. Oh, I'll just order something. The brain just never stops. The same with exercise. Goes in the gym, sits on the adductor machine. What am I doing? I've got no fucking idea. Goes to the tricep machine, watches somebody else, does a few extensions, sits on the bike.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, I hate the gym, boring. Yeah, of course it is, because you've got no structure. And I just think you've got to give yourself the ability of that. And I think if you can afford the ability of it, that's why we have jobs, to be quite honest with you, is to, keep you accountable to the routine that you want to set up and the life that you want to live. nobody honestly is forcing you to do this. I would advise you to do it. I would say you should be doing something
I
like
feel like
this.
people have a social responsibility to look after themselves the same way. I want everyone to carry the same energy that we did during COVID when everyone was getting vaccinated, and the people that weren't getting vaccinated were ostracized because they weren't, lifting the weight with the rest of society in terms of curbing COVID, and people were very anti the whole process, and I feel like it should be the same thing, same energy.
I'm fairly certain elections are coming up.
Let's
If you
keep
put
the
me
same
up for
energy.
Prime Minister or for my party to win, it would be like, I mean, look, there would be a responsibility that to bring down taxes, to bring down fucking everything, barring obviously war, because we can't control men with PlayStations. But I would, in the UK alone, the economy would be fucking thriving if people just actually prioritise their health. And actually,
Right.
there was a one from a Prime Minister.
Give us your manifesto.
Oh no, you wouldn't want to. God, it would be.
Give us just bullet points though. How would you raise money if you're going to drop taxes?
How would I raise money if I was
you
going to
can't just drop taxes.
No. So I was talking about, first of all, the fact that taxes would naturally drop down if people became healthier. There would be less long-term disease in the sense of impact to the nation, whether that's obesity, diabetes, all the rest of it. And naturally speaking, we're trying to obviously fund the NHS
what you're saying
right
is
now. So there's a lot of money
increases.
going behind. So if you did
increases.
prioritise your health and fitness more, and there was a more militant approach to it in the UK, you would see over the years the amount of money having to go towards the NHS would be like, there'd be less strain on the NHS, that's for certain, and there's a lot of money that has to go there and to fund all. How would I do it? I mean, honestly, I think everyone loves Pokemon cards. Okay.
Oh my god. Okay, here we go.
This is absolutely and I feel like, as much as it's weird to say this, we've all got profiles anyway.
Yeah.
This is a bit Chinese, isn't it? This is the Chinese
we all
government.
do. Let's not pretend like not
we're all doing
everyone's
it.
got
You're on watch on CCTV right now from your house, so you've got no idea about it. There's people watching.
You're on your phone all the time.
Exactly. It's like when my mum says to me, "Oh, my phone's not like my phone. I've picked my algorithm. Nobody advertised it." I'm Jane.
She never buys things off social media, but
she just literally. She's bought the cat food off of social media. She's bought the toilet roll off of social media.
Yeah, there's a couple of omissions of that.
I know, hilarious. But I would have.
But that just shows you how good the marketing is, because it's so subconscious that people don't even know they're being marketed.
Hear me out. So pensions, we were talking about the Sniper Alley, wasn't it? Isn't it between the age ranges of what and what?
So what the actuarial scientists that work for all the big companies, they've realized that the vast majority of people that die for could be cardiovascular disease, could be cancer, so on and so forth. The vast majority of people, if it's going to kill you, it will kill you between the years of 60 to 70. And that generally, statistically, if you get to the age of about 70, then you should live on to about 80 odd, give or take, statistically. But the vast majority of people get, so the actuarial scientists refer to it as Sniper's Alley.
Yeah, so that when most people just drop dead. But I think so, I mean, you look at like how anything runs for being an adult. So you're in pretty much a point scheme right here. So like whether it's your credit score, is it credit score?
Yeah.
God, that's a good start, isn't it? Whether it's your credit score, how much, if you've got, when you go and look for insurance, for example, to be looked after, they ask you, have you got any diseases, or, do you smoke any day, all these things that will then like knock you down a few points, then you'll be paying more. The same as like, maybe you have like a damaged credit score, you're damaged as a profile, okay?
Yeah.
So I firmly believe that like we should be working on point schemes. Humans run really well when they get rewarded. No. So why can't we have a tally where people that look after themselves more pay less? Because technically they are less of a strain on society. So whether that means that like, I don't know, maybe you don't,
Like a body fat tax.
like you spent
It's a body fat tax.
body fat.
It's a body fat tax. Because think about it, all the billionaires, all of them have got high amounts of body fat. So then shit, they'll
Not
be
all
paying.
of them. Jeff Bezos has definitely had a bit
Jeff's
of
done
lipo on his
well.
pecs.
Okay, Jeff's done well. Mark Zuckerberg's done well. Elon Musk looks like a Cybertruck himself.
Yeah, I know.
Do you know what I
he
mean? And
gives
then
me
the rest of
creeps,
the
Elon
rest of the
Musk.
buggers, you know, they're old and fat anyway. So then theoretically they'll be charged loads. And then the people that would be essentially on, you know, this like
But it
21%
doesn't
income
just
tax
run
would be
by your health and
bodybuilders.
fitness. It also runs by what you offer to the world. So if you're just sat there like, oh, I'm not going to do fuck all, and I'll just like claim benefits, yeah, and just like, oh, I can't be arsed, like, do you know what I mean? Oh, my back hurts, I won't go to work. Sorry, that sounds like literally. Then you should probably be knocked down on the fact if you want to then get better. The same. It's not the fucking job centre. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying that. You need points. You get rewarded for those points. People would run so fucking well, and you would try and source those points anyhow. It would be like coupons. Like, you know what I mean? You would you would, and the best ones, the coupon fucking addiction.
They do it a little bit in South Africa.
They'll pay
with,
nothing for their grocery
Vitality.
shop.
Yeah, but Vitality, they do in South Africa where you shop Vitalities in.
Yeah, but they do it in a lot of countries. That's not the UK. I feel like, why?
Yeah, but you should essentially have, you know, things should be subsidized. Like, I personally think, right? I think that this is the way that you be able to transform everyone's health and fitness. You subsidize personal training and small group fitness.
No, because the personal trainers in charge are fucking shit.
No, you obviously
then you've got to remodel all these.
It's not
dimwits
difficult.
That sit on
It's
their
not
phones
difficult.
fucking...
Martin Nutrition did it with his nutritional course, and he's changing the Martin McDonald. He's
If
changing
you did
the
it with
landscape.
the NHS or you did
Yeah,
it
but
with...
he's changing the landscape of proper nutritional information, and give him enough time and penetration into the UK market. The vast majority of us are all going to be singing off the same hymn sheet. So when it comes to exercise, you need community, you need the social element. People need to be held accountable. So you change the requirements of then becoming a practitioner who then gets subsidized by the government, and then you are able to offer en masse people the opportunity to come in, build and form a relationship with people, train, exercise.
I don't think exercise. What I just said to you earlier today.
You know,
there was we have a few people that come up to us and say, especially in our gym environment, how much that like they admire the way that we train or like what we look like, okay? And these individuals themselves are like struggling to lose weight or to be in better shape, and they say to us the words like, so I just like watch what you do and I just hope that that's like what's the right thing to do. But I'm like, exercise has got, like, unfortunately, like, nothing really to do with this. Because if you are overweight, exercise or expending more energy has two effects, okay? One psychological effect is I've exercised, I can now reward myself, I've burnt more energy, I need to fuel myself up with this. And the other problem is the fact that the more exercise you do, the hungrier you get. So when you are more overweight, wanting to start, you know, exercise should not be the starting factor.
No, but I would also subsidise health.
No, I would say, looking at university level,
foods.
Uni is still a thing. It might be going down in the ranks or apprenticeships or whatever. That Martin Nutrition is a very good example, Mac Uni, like where they should be integrated in the absolute educational system, because there's no way you can get all these people on board, because you need dietitians, you need GPs, you need anyone that's allowed to say nutritional advice to be saying the same thing. And it's not hard, but it has to be learnt from those elements. So how many people do sports science at uni, Mark, because they like sports at school? But then they go and be a PT because they like sports and they like training themselves, and then suddenly they're a PT. Do I think that that's going to be revolutionary to somebody's health? No. It's going to be some guy, do you know what I mean, with some resistance bands having a good time. It's not necessarily going to help.
But I get sometimes it's... Yeah, I get that, but the on the grander scheme is you're getting people to essentially... You would assume that if it was subsidized, that everyone would then partake in it.
You need something to go up, which I'm sure, actually, I wouldn't be
And
surprised
it
if
needs to
Matthew
go from grassroots. You need to prioritize sports more at
The
schools.
NHS
You
is
need
what
to
people Google
yeah, but you
all
need
the
to
time.
prioritize sports at schools more. You need to implement training and facilities in all the care homes that are able to fight against sarcopenia and get the older generation, which again the UK is a population of aging individuals. So we need stuff like when we drive past all these old age homes, you need implementation in there, people resistance bands or something. Do you know what I mean? There needs to be a wholesale change where
That is
it's
coming from a
subsidized.
National Health Service. And to do that, you have to either the people coming into the National Health Service have had to do some educational part to get there. So if you're a doctor,
Yeah.
you've gone and done your medical fucking degree, it's taken you bloody ages. Same with a dentist, same with a surgeon, same with a nurse, all the rest of it. You've had to have done that. That needs to be one thing. The problem is where you get the skew if is when you've got a professor at a university saying one thing about fucking the dietitians and, it's preaching diet, to the dietitians of the world. Then you've got the nutritionists that might have a more holistic approach. A professor will be telling you or engaging you or educating you on some other different bias on something. That's a problem. The only thing that it should be teaching you is a science. Like, nobody's going in and going, oh, there's 65 ways you could cut this line across the heart. Like, no, you're going to do one way, otherwise you probably could 65 times kill somebody. So why have we not got that same symmetrical line as a fucking surgeon? Like, yes, there are different ways to nip and tuck your body now, but the same way, you're not going to be so invasive. Oh, we could do it 65 different times. What? No. We need one
It's about
fucking
finding the
approach,
most efficient
and
way
you
into
learn the
doing
same
it,
thing.
yeah.
AQA, GCSE, learn the same fucking thing. But that is where it needs to be. We don't need to learn it necessarily at school. It would help we had nutrition at school.
I feel like we're getting there with nutrition though because of the penetration that old Martin's doing. I feel like eventually,
I really hope, because he's definitely the one that's going to be
because you do see a lot that like
Again, you
the
need more
industry,
influence behind
like
you.
most people do understand some form of energy balance now to a certain degree.
No, they don't, Mark.
Do you
No,
not think
that
so?
is such a
Yeah,
narrowed
I
no.
know, that is a lie.
Absolutely
I
not.
take that
My
back.
dad's got not a fucking clue.
Okay.
My
Maybe
sister's
we'll
got no
edit-
clue.
maybe I'll
like
edit
I would
it
literally be
out.
able to put my hands right now at all the people around us. I'm sorry.
No, I think they understand
the
the fact that if you eat less and move more, you'll lose weight.
No, he says if I don't eat crisps, then I'll lose weight. Do you know what I mean? That's what my dad would say. Oh, I can't
But
have
essentially
Diet
what
Coke,
he's
the
saying-
artificial sweeteners.
Yeah,
Or I won't eat the chocolate raisins or the picnic bar in the car. Like, that's my dad losing weight. Oh, Jane won't allow me the cheese. Do you know what I
Essentially,
mean?
what he's doing is
He's
reducing
just, but he
his-
doesn't understand he's reducing his energy. He's cutting the
I think he
crisps
does.
out.
He's an accountant. He would know that.
No, absolutely no way. My dad's not an accountant, do you know what I mean? In the sense of on a day-to-day basis, sat on a screen doing boring shit.
No, he's
He had an accountancy degree. No, he didn't actually. No, he didn't. He had a chartered. He was actually an engineer. That's what he went into. Now he's in financial
He's
work.
got a mine in Zambia, hasn't he?
What?
That he drew up plans for.
Oh, God.
That they utilised.
A mine in Zambia. Well, I don't really
Yes.
know. Anyway, that's exactly.
'Cause that's
but
what you do
The same
when-
thing is he still wouldn't know if I said to him, "Oh, it's because you've reduced calories." I don't think he's even looked on the back of the packet once.
No, I
Like
get
literally,
that.
like what is this? It's just food. It serves the purpose of just.
No, but I would
feeding.
say, like, okay, a different generation that is not so much
No, they still don't know, Mark.
Generation X, but more millennial.
Why on a day-to-day basis, even when you have clients, they still ask you, "Oh, should I cut the carbs out? I think I'm eating too much."
no.
Like what? Like literally, those are people that work with us. It's just human nature. No, we don't know. You don't know. And you know what's also worse is a lot of people giving out the information also don't know. And so that's the problem. I'm absolutely adamant there is one answer to anything in life. There are different routes, I appreciate, but there's one answer to everything. So there could be, one answer to losing weight is you have to eat, you have to consume less, do you know what I mean? than you burn.
You have to consume
the
less
answer.
calories, but not less food.
That's no, you're not listening to me.
Sorry, I'm just getting...
That's the one answer. Now, the routes from that answer could vary. That could be somebody's going to integrate 300 grams of vegetables per day and limit the amount of, I don't know, noodles they have at lunch and pack it up with broccoli, okay? That could be one approach, making healthier choices to consume less energy. The other route could be, I'm going to track my calories, I'm going to follow a deficit, and I'm going to lose loads of weight. Another route could be, I'm going to be intuitive. I am going to restrict my digestive eating habit with my cup of tea because I know I've just consumed 500 calories. And that is my way of reducing how much I eat. So do you see what I mean? There is one answer. Absolutely. That's science.
Yeah.
The same as there's one answer to cut your fucking heart open. There are different routes as to maybe how they stitch you up with
then you have
non-fucking invasive stitches.
Yeah, but then you'll have a ball bag like Tim Spector saying that calories
You
don't...
won't have those people.
Yeah, calories...
That is what you need, is you just don't
we need,
have those people.
Okay, so I see what you're saying. So what you're saying is when...
We're not breeding Tim Spector.
So the manifesto comes out with prioritising health. We standardise it the same way as we have no nonsense for people that say the earth is flat. Okay, so we have one... Okay, energy balance matters. Okay, first and foremost. How people then want to proceed in, prioritising that energy balance.
The education on all of this is one fucking thing. The problem is where people get very creative, and that's great. I think we've got a really creative world. If we didn't have creativity, we would be dead. Do you know what I mean? Because honestly, it would be so boring to live. But the creativity in certain industries needs to be limited. The same as when you go for a job of a PT, it doesn't just come down to, oh, you've got qualification and you've trained a few clients. It's, how do you do this? Do you even know? Can you take me through a workout? Christ, you have got no idea what the technique is. None. Have you even done this? Do you even know how to help somebody? It should be fucking told. You can't do a lat pull down with bent fucking arms, swinging backwards and forwards.
Yeah, but again, that comes down to again,
the professional.
The service provider providing the qualification in which people get it over and done with in 6 weeks.
Right, we've just said,
and that should then be turned. If again, like I was saying, hypothetically, if it was to be subsidised by the government, my assumption was that every person that would want, that grant essentially would then have to go through a 4-year process of what they would do at university.
No, that doesn't make any logical sense. The same as how doctors say in their last few years of their medical degree, they are in fucking person getting experience. The degree cannot be just learning and learning and learning and absorbing.
I'm saying one of those years could be practical, could be like working an apprenticeship, it could be physical learning on the gym floor, maybe, and that's what's included in the actual qualification.
Yes, then people that hire places,
so then you could essentially do 2 years of theory, which I think we would, if you had the right syllabus and so on and so forth, you'd be able to cover most things that are relevant in a 2-year process, I think, quite confidently, and then another 2-year process, because it literally takes you that long to figure out humans, when you are stood in front of another human being, and how to pick up on social cues and body language and just be punctual and turn up on time and smell nice and look presentable.
Is personal.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think then that person would then go into a paid apprenticeship somewhat for a 2-year process in which the last physical would then be like a thesis or some form. I would
absolutely have something in line that you can't be an online coach. You can't coach people online unless you've experienced working with people in person. I think I don't care how much money some of these people have made over the last few years. This will slowly dissolve. That's why they've had to make quite a lot quite quickly, because they've just preyed on a lot of vulnerabilities and been very good at the sales and the marketing to hit those pain points in a general population to then make the sale. But there should not be online coaches that have had zero experience working with clients, because you single-handedly, if you are that person, you have no idea how many people say to us, like, we are, for most people, the last resort for them, like, literally, like, making change and being, like, happy with themselves, because they've been burnt so many times by professionals. And I'm like, just get a fucking grip. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're meant to be a professional in this industry. You're meant to be helping somebody. And that's where this is the problem, is the fact that people, don't have the ability of somebody that they can necessarily trust, and we're very few and far between, and it is hard
It comes to no regulation, though. That's the problem.
yeah, I know, but I just think the online coaching world, I honestly would love to see it. Like, I don't believe, like, you might be able to watch somebody else's content and be able to mimic it, to your audience, but unless you can, I personally think the best test of knowing whether somebody knows something or not is by asking them to their face. Because, like, you're either going to be
Sure.
like, fuck. Do you know what I mean? Like, shit, I don't have ChatGPT in front of me. Or you're going to be like, yeah, so that's what I do, And those are the people that are always going to succeed in the world. The ones, you don't, when you've got an answer, when you pitch to somebody or an investor, you're not going to be like, oh, you're going to go with your pitch.
Yeah, Dragon's Den. You don't just go in there just
exactly, it's
on a
your
whim.
face as well. Like, nobody's going to invest money unless they've, like, met you somewhat, whether it's virtually, like, asked you.
Precisely.
So I just think it's the same thing approach. Like, if you just literally have no idea how to actually help somebody other than yourself, then you shouldn't really be doing the job. Because, like, I put myself on the bottom part sometimes, you know what I mean? In the sense that, obviously, like, not in the sense of prioritizing my health, but in the sense of my clients are a priority, same with yours, same with ours, shall we say. Anyway, right, guys, that was a whole podcast on a lot of different things, talking all about why you need to have structure in your exercise and diet, and what to do when you need to. And if you do need that structure, then, well, there's a lot of things coming. Number one, let me just repeat, we have a book coming out. A book on how to build your best body, and it's not going to be a load of fuckery. It's actually going to help you sustain a long-term figure that you absolutely love, okay? And a lifestyle too that you enjoy. We are going into the world of helping you with much higher protein meals in a very, very convenient way, and that will also be out later this year. Coaching Academy is launching, which means Soak Up is pivoting. Self Care Academy is fully coming through, and that is going to be the home of all of our online coaching and also how we can help you online. So obviously being that home to ask your questions and to become part of. So we have a lot of ways that we can help you.
Yeah, but don't forget, what else have we got? Our nutrition and training seminar that we're going to be holding.
And that was the last thing, Mark.
Somewhere in London or somewhere in the middle of the country.
We are going to start doing lifting, which we brought up on our social media. We actually had quite a large response, which was really, really good.
Take people through the fundamentals, and then take people through an actual training session where we get to train people and show people range of motion and intensity and have a good workout and then something to eat.
And then we're going to speak obviously about setting up your diet, how you can help yourself depending on your goal. But we hope that this will be a more regular occurrence. And we want to keep it I guess they say quality over quantity. Things will be limited because we want to be able to have that personal touch and not have obviously too many people to have to manage. So they will be sort of small group, small community based lifting and nutrition workshops, which are really, really we're pumped to do, because that's where we thrive, in my opinion, the best.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? So if you've not experienced this, like a lot of our online clients, like we really want to start again under the academy, bringing that sort of like bringing us a little bit more to you. So lots and lots of exciting things coming for all of our clients that listen to this. You're getting massive upgrades as well. So
upgrades to the
coaching
app, upgrades to everything,
content, everything.
We've been, and shout out to people like Ish, who've some of our clients have been with us for so long. They've been with us since Arrow Club, and us literally sending over PDFs for all the way to different apps and different applications, and and we keep going. So shout out to the OGs.
Shout
Where
out to
we
the
keep
OGs,
on,
yeah.
we want to improve for you guys. We always want to make sure that we do good by you guys and look
Yeah, I
after
think,
you. So
because we're not the sort of company that sort of comes in and people come
yeah,
in for, a few weeks and then leave. We have
no,
got, like, we're very blessed with a lot of client retention. That's not to say, in fact, we don't want to see new faces and new people,
yeah.
but we want to make
And
sure that
people,
people's experience
and
is
when
still
people
good.
come back, because a lot of our clients do come back and coach with us again. When they do come back, we want them to come on and be like, oh, these guys have been hard at work,
Yeah.
upgrading and making progress and changing things. Because again, that's the kind of vibe we put out. That's the kind of culture that we want to thrive
And
in
on a
our.
completely different note, our branding colours for the academy are like really good. So yeah, we've got a very, very cool mascot as well. So yeah, we've got really exciting things
Yeah.
coming. So that's a positive note. We'll love and leave you now.
Yeah, bye guys.
Well, yeah, bye guys.
Bye
Speak
guys.
to you soon.
I haven't pushed bye yet. Keep
Bye.
it. Bye.
Okay,
Say
goodbye
goodbye.
everyone.
3, 2, 1.
Bye.
Bye.